So this great Buddhist story, Angulimala, and so he's a prince, and he's trained to be a great warrior, and his trainer is always jealous of him. So the whole time he's training him for years, he's building a resentment for this prince, and finally he gets to the point where the prince is getting ready to graduate as a warrior, and so he sets up this thing where he's like, there's only one more thing you need to do. You need to gather 100 fingers from 100 people and put them on a rosary of 100 fingers of 100 murders. And he's like, the guy, because this guy's been teaching him for years, he believes him, so he does it. And by like the 30 or 40th finger, he's not the same guy anymore. He has changed. He's becoming a monster. And by the 80th finger, he is a monster. And now he's got the 100 fingers, but he can't stop. And he's taken over this whole part of the jungle, and he's killed like several hundred people. No one will even go in that part of the jungle. And Buddha comes to this village. And the town's like, don't go in there. There's a horrible murderer there. So Buddha walks into the forest. He walks in, and Angulimala is like, I've got him. I'm going to
get his finger.
I can't wait. Yes. And so he starts chasing the Buddha, and the Buddha keeps walking. And Angulimala can't catch up to him, but he's running. But no matter how fast he runs, the Buddha seems to keep going further and further away. And finally, Angulimala yells, "Stop!" And Buddha goes, "I have stopped." And Angulimala goes, "You keep walking. How can you say you've stopped?" And Buddha goes, "I stopped harming. Why haven't you?" And Angulimala suddenly has this shattering realization that he never even wanted to harm anything, that he had been set down this path by someone who told him something, and that he didn't really want to be hurting anybody. And he ended up becoming a Buddhist monk, and his whole world was changed, and everybody who he then had an effect on, he became this massive agent of peace. And the interesting thing is, the story goes, is that for like 20 or 30 years he lived as a Buddhist monk and an agent of peace. And then one day he was walking through town begging, and there was a bell chime, and every weapon in town left the hands of the person who was going to hurt somebody. Like in that moment, someone was raising a club to mug someone, and someone was raising a knife to stab someone. The weapons flew from their hands, all magnetized to Angulimala, and every weapon in town struck him, and he fell on the ground dying. And Buddha came up and said, this is the results of your karma. You're experiencing a great purification of all these horrible things you've done. In your next life, you're going to become a great Buddha. You would have had to have gone to a hell dimension to deal with all the horrible things you've done, but by living this life and dying this way, and you not only saved all the people who were going to be hurt in this moment, were all relieved from that suffering, and it all came into you. So it's a beautiful story.
Yes.
Yeah, about and how he lived a normal life of a pacifist, but in the end he still had to clarify that karma.
That makes a lot of sense. Did he still have the rosary?
He had a different rosary at that point.
Well, what happened with the rosary?
He got rid of it after he stopped being Angulimala.
Because I would think that would be something of a relic, right?